And I guess my transition question from all this is why Peru? Why is it always like in that part of the world?
I thought you were going to have a better one. Like, be like, so if we go from Maria to Mario, let's transition to this other thing in Peru.
That would have been a good one.
Yeah.
That doesn't really do well on YouTube. YouTube flags that video really quickly. But, we went there, and you're going down there looking for megaliths. I mean, it seems all connected, right? Like, there's just a bunch of bizarre stuff in that part of the world.
Peru's the most mysterious place on planet Earth. I'm convinced of it. I mean, that's why I'm always there. There's always something new to investigate. And I don't know why. It just is. And every time I go back down there, there's some new weird thing going on, and I'm being contacted by somebody to come look at something, and it's I don't know why that is, because it's not Ecuador and it's not Bolivia,
right,
and it's not Brazil, although Brazil has a lot of interesting things. It's always Peru, and I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, but you just went there, and did you guys discover some stuff? I mean,
so when we were in Peru, so that was part of the objective, was to go down, meet with Dr. Roger Zuniga, look at those specimens. And I've only just scratched the surface on these things. I mean, I'm making a video on my YouTube channel about it. But the other thing that we did, I already published a video about this on my YouTube channel. We went and looked at this megalithic site called Capuli, which came to my attention through Wandering Wolf Productions, through Mike from Wandering Wolf Productions. And it seemed that there were new megalithic stones had been discovered in Peru, perhaps part of a quarry. And they looked really compelling. And the footage that Mike featured on his channel, and then also the original guy who went up there was a Peruvian. He has a YouTube channel called Descubriendo Lugares Impresionantes. And his channel, he went up there a couple of times. And when he went up there, there was a handful of stones that were uncovered because they were in the jungle. And then when Mike went up there was a couple more. And then when I went up there, they had cleared out a whole big area. And there were even more. So I decided to go investigate, and I wanted to see this site for myself because this is a big claim. I mean, these stones would rival some of the stones at Baalbek if they were actually megaliths.
Like in size?
In size.
Okay.
Are they fit together more rectangle or round?
They're not fitted stones. They're just maybe they were being quarried and they're just sitting there. There's no stones fitted together or anything, but they're rectangular. And I went, and actually Mike Cernovich went with me, and that was we had a film crew with us for a documentary they were filming. And Capuli is located it's a rather remote village in Peru. It's in an area of Peru known as the Andean Amazon. The Andean Amazon is where the Andes Mountains meet the Amazon rainforest. This is a very mysterious part of Peru. This is the northern Andean Amazon. There's a lot of this area that's totally uncharted, unexplored. It hasn't got the kind of attention that Machu Picchu and those kind of areas have gotten. And I lived in this part of Peru. This is specifically where I lived for a long time. Been all over Peru, but I lived in the Andean Amazon, northern Peru.
Dreadlock Tim.
Huh?
Dreadlock Tim lived there.
Dreadlock Tim.
Did you know then that this place was weird? Did you know
I figured it out, yeah. So I lived in Terrapota, Moyobamba, then in the lower jungle, Yurimaguas and Iquitos. That area, those four cities that I just named, is where I spent a lot of my time. And this site is outside of Moyobamba. And that's the Andes Mountains. It's like the foothills of the Andes there. I say foothills, but those are probably 10,000, 10,000 foot tall mountains there. But it's still jungle. And they call it the high jungle in Peru. And I've always wondered if there were megaliths in the high jungle, but I've never seen evidence of megaliths in the high jungle. So when I saw Capuli, when I saw the images of Capuli, I was intrigued. I wanted to go see this. I have contacts. I have a a lot of acquaintances and friends especially in this part of Peru. So I made contact with the village, and then we eventually made our way up to the village. The only way to get to that village, by the way, is to hike. There's no roads that go to it. There's an ancient path, and this is kind of important to the story here. I realized when I was walking on this path to get there, you have to hike 40 minutes up the mountain, that this was either see, there it is there. That road was either made by the Inca or a pre-Inca civilization. That's not just some random path in the woods, and the villagers didn't make it. I confirmed that with them. And it doesn't look very impressive now because it hasn't been well maintained. But I've been on Inca roads. That's what they look like. And when you find an ancient road like this in Peru, it always leads to somewhere important. Always. They don't build these. They didn't take the time and energy to make roads like this without connecting important locations with them. So you can see there's a good example of this.
And the second half of our trip, when we went to Peru, obviously Machu Picchu is in a weird location. And then that one place we stopped and hiked up the side of the mountain into that cave.
The portal cave.
Yeah.
I was looking at a picture the other day. You and I stand in front of the portal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's strange locations. It doesn't make sense to build.
Alta Iglesia. That road goes right by Capuli. So there's the village of Capuli. And
there's a video playing for those listening.
Yeah. So this is on my YouTube channel. People can see this video. And this is where those megalithic stones are. So, long story short, I looked at the stones. I spent a long time surveying this site, and you'll see some aerial footage of it. At first glance, the stones appear to be very rectangular, but as you can see here, on closer inspection, they're really not. And one thing that was never, they're not really very straight, is what I'm trying to say. They are rectangular, generally speaking, the shape, but they're not, you can see, they're not like precisely cut. There's no evidence of any cutting on these stones either. And also, if you look at the stones, there are some very interesting right angles. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the stones, if you stand on the stones and you look at them from above, you'll see that the fracturing there's this vertical fracturing in the stone. It goes almost all the way through the stone. And that's the way the stones are breaking. And you can actually see the pieces that have broken off. And so I think they're just, long story short, this isn't that interesting to me anymore, this site, because it's inconclusive. You can say that somebody was there with crowbars or whatever, breaking off the pieces of the stone, taking advantage of these natural fractures in the stone, and maybe harvesting them for some kind of a megalithic edifice. Problem is, we have to find that edifice. If we find a megalithic complex incorporating these stones, then we know they're megaliths. But until we do, I think it's just as likely that they're natural.